Here come the lights at last, and when they go out, we'll be underway for 60 laps of racing, and it is go. That looked like a decent start from Jake Dennehan. Not too much wheel spin, but we have got Martin side by side with him for the lead, trying to outbrake him into turn one. You see the sparks fly as he dips down, but Dennehan keeps the lead on the outside. So it's Dennehan from Martin, from Royal, and Mounier. Remember, if Mounier wins today, he takes the championship lead. Now look at Mark Schluter trying to come around the outside, trying to fend off Maggio now.
Here comes Frelick then. He's going to easily get up the inside of Dylan Fisher into the Dunlop hairpin.
Here comes Frelick down the straight. He would have got such a good drive off the corner. He'll probably be using push to pass, and he goes through on Tom Stevens there, one of his main championship rivals. Stevens is going to fight back, stays on the inside line. Frelick goes round the outside and does get the move done.
This is what happened to Krop.
As Moritz Krop goes to the outside of Dylan Fisher, tries again, touches him. Whoa, Fisher's going to have a trip through the grass now. Moritz says, I've done it once, now it's your turn. And here comes Sven Schubert up the inside, and once again, Moritz Krop does not want to let him through. Now Sven Schubert comes through on the inside, and he's going to be followed through by Pascal Pollens, goes through into 21st.
Here comes Philip Pushke, using DRS to go up the inside of Chris Shepherd for 14th position.
Let's not forget, it's also Philip Pushke's home race.
Frelick has immediately died into the pits then after 10 laps of racing. So
Alex Lahoe pits, as does Xavi Rose. So we do have two drivers in from that crucial top 15. Jorge Marquez follows them in as well. This would potentially be even more aggressive, and it might indicate a three-stop.
But he's ahead of Simon. He's ahead of Simon crucially.
He is. And that's hard tyres for Maggio, so drivers running a little bit longer here. I still think it's probably a two-stop strategy.
And Frelick's past Lahoe into the first corner. There he is, and he's got Milnek, who's come out just in front of him. Yep.
And that's a big spin, and is that? Goodness me!
Xavi Ross.
And it's Xavi Rose. And it's a triple spin as he rejoins the race and into the pits now. And that looked like Carlos Martin. So Martin picks from second, Mounier pits from third, Fournier pits from fourth, and Dennehan stays out.
As here we go side by side, that's surely that's Maggio trying to go around the outside of Jeffrey Fournier. We're absolutely hanging out, and somehow he finds a way to clear the Epic Racing car.
This could be action stations now for Jake Dennehan. He comes into the pits, and it's going to be close. It's going to be very close on pit exit. Here comes Dennehan, and he does go through. So Carlos Martin takes the net lead of the race. So Martin and Mounier have both jumped Jake Dennehan.
Martin up to P4 overall as Mounier now is all over the back of Dennehan and getting badly held up at the chicane. Oh no, he's actually ahead of Dennehan. That's Lalu that was really all over the place, sorry. Lalu going into the pits now. Lahoe in trouble. So he's behind Fletcher, I believe. And this is what happens going into Coca-Cola. Is he a little too early on the power? It's a bit twitchy, too far over the curb, and looks to have saved it, but then backs it into the wall.
Meanwhile, that's Ross getting past Dennehan up the inside into turn one.
Carlos has got to find a way through quickly. You see the two THRs making hay in the background. Martin up the inside into the Vidal chicane, and Mounier too. Schubert very much opened the door and led them both through there.
And Maggio's out. What has happened to Alessandro Maggio?
And this is not the same thing as Lahoe, has he?
This is where Lahoe had his incident. No. Oh no, this will be a disconnection, I think, because he's... There we go, and he disappears. And we'll see what happens here down the start-finish straight. I think this is advantage Royal with that slipstream. Dennehan should go with him. I think they'll both pass Sven Schubert down into turn one. And Dennehan is forced to settle in behind Stefan Royal.
As Claire Tan knows, now is the ideal moment to strike. So this could be a shorter stint on the hards, and Stevens immediately responds to it. Oh, let's look at what Stevens has come out into. My goodness, that's Chris Shepherd and Xavi Ross.
So Winnick up into fifth, and this is Tom Stevens touching wheels with Xavi Rose as he goes round the outside now into turn three. There's a long way around, but that turns into the inside, this corner, which is deceptively fast, actually. You do that corner pretty much flat. Here's Jorge Marquez running in 16th position with front row seat and a wide, and over the curbs goes Chris Shepherd. Keeps it out. Oh, doesn't keep it out the barriers. Big hit into the wall. You'll notice here on the replay, and I saw this happen in real time, he dipped the wheels into onto the grass as he braked. He was fighting there with the Adonis, and there you can see him try to turn in with his right-hand wheels on the grass. His left-hand wheels had more grip than his right. His car went sideways, and unfortunately at that point you have no control. Down the start-finish straight they go. A big dose of DRS from Jake Dennehan. He goes to the right-hand side of his former rival Stefan Roth, and current rival I guess you could say, and does get the move done into turn 1. And now you see Loic Mounier going past Carlos Martin with the slipstream, with the DRS, potentially with some push to pass, and he does get the move done there into turn 1. Loic Mounier leads the race. Stefan Roth into the pits. This could kick off the second pit window. Shimon Frelick has now gone through up the inside of Xavier into the chicane. So Dennehan takes the lead back as Mounier and Martin both pit.
As there, Sergio Fletcher is overwhelmed by the fresh tyres of Loic Mounier. Anyway, Loic Mounier catching up to the back of Pushke. Pushke again leaves the apex all wide open for Mounier to slot that spark through. And there we see Martin picking off Fletcher in the background simultaneously. We see Roth diving up the inside of Fletcher now.
Shimon Frelick round the outside as Sven Schubert gets up into 14th position. Nicely done. Up to the final corner. Whoa! And someone else was backwards there, and it's Mark Schluter. Oh no, Mark Schluter, who was doing such a good job in this race, who was in the top 5, who was challenging for the podium, has had a spin, and that's going to really cost him as he comes into the pits now. And now Jarl Tyen does get past Oscar Soltero up into the top 3. Loic Mounier on the back of Tom Stevens looks to do the same, takes a look to the outside, cut back to the inside, touches him. There's wheel-to-wheel contact. They're still going to be side by side, neck and neck. Through the left-handers. Stevens will have the shorter line. Mounier will have the inside line if he holds on for the next corner. He does. They touch side pods now. Stevens goes wide. Mounier gets it done.
Yeah, he really had to stick that one out. Tom was not doing him any favours whatsoever. But let's ride on board with Mounier, going the more circuitous route, as you say, nearly locked wheels a couple of times with Stevens. Did actually do so on the entry there for turn 5 and 6, as we see Carlos Martin clearing Philip Pushke at the Vidal chicane finally.
Stefan Roth there up the inside of Philip Pushke also goes through. Stefan Roth still very much in contention for a podium here today. Shimon Frelick in contention for a strong result in the top 10. He's up into P11 now after passing Tomasz Vok.
Dennehan now pits, and he's followed swiftly by Geoffrey Fournier, so Jarl Tyen inherits the lead for the time being. Mounier up to second.
Here comes Geoffrey Fournier approaching Tomasz Vok up the inside, and a straightforward move into the chicane. And look at Tom Stevens going defensive here. Martin just about finds a gap and goes over the grass to make it stick. Really good move into turn 1 there. Carlos Martin, expertly done.
Soltero, he is actually 4 laps ago switched back to the soft tyre. Purple first sector, unsurprisingly, having got the DRS past his teammate Fournier, who left the door open for him.
So Soltero coming up towards the chicane. There's a little bit of a run up through here. Gets a really good exit actually. And by the overspeed, I think he was probably using push to pass, and Soltero does go through on Schubert. And of course, Soltero will get away on this. Whoa, and a big spin for Fournier. Loops the car around, goes onto the grass. And I'll tell you what that was. That was a sudden change of direction with the DRS wide open, causing the car to get unsettled. Shimon Frelick comes in for his last stop. And Martin pits, and someone else followed him in. And it was Stefan Roth, so both of those drivers in. And in comes Mounier. And Tom Stevens pits as well. And Mounier takes off the pit speed limiter, exits, and is ahead of Carlos Martin, just about. It's very, very close there.
Tyen in the pits now, so that means Dennehan is going to take the lead.
Geoffrey Fournier now up the inside of Sven Schubert, goes through into 6th position. And on a track like this where it's difficult, and Roth does get through on Fournier. Good move there. Roth with slightly fresher tyres was able to push on and get the move done. Stevens now will be the next person to attack Fournier, and I think that this will be pretty straightforward now as he gets the DRS, gets a double tow from both Fournier and Roth up ahead, and Stevens now is going to gain 6th position. Makes it on the brakes, nicely done, gets it stopped in time. And look here at Maciej Winnick going past Mark Schluter here for P8. will, of course, do.
Whoa,
And
tires run!
spins! What a disaster! We're going to see a replay on board with the THR driver and an uncharacteristic mistake on the exit of the Dunlop hairpin, which has been the bane of so many drivers here. It was as soon as he touched the curb, the car just jinked to the left. And look at Tom Stevens up the inside now of Stefan Roll, and he gets through in the final stages of the race.
Yep, there we go. Look at this. Schubert taps the back of Sergio Fletcher as they both try and lap Osama Kanani into the first corner. Schubert now tries to go around the outside of the valet, and they lock wheels. They touch each other, and Fletcher just about holds on to that one, but it's Schubert up to P13 on his fresh, soft tyres now.
Here's Thomas Falk going round the outside of Sergio Fletcher and just about runs it wide. Oh my goodness, and goes around the outside? Surely not. How did he have so much pace there? That was incredible. Keeps it up the inside. Thomas Falk still has an opportunity, but it looks as if Fletcher will now gain it back going into the S's. Loic Meunier's gap looks set to come in by another second as look at Soltero. It looks like there's a little fight going on actually between him and Fournier because he's just passed him later on in the race.
Back through again, I think. Oh, yellows in the first sector as Pushke and Frelick come to blows.
All right.
That was what gave Pushke the run with the DRS. Got up the inside. Frelick turned from the outside and bumped across him.
We're watching Carlos Martin now. Whoa, that was close with Falkenhayn. And look at Jarl Tyen.
Oh.
What an opportunistic move up the inside. Nearly slammed into the back of Falkenhayn as they went through, but made it stick nonetheless. And what a move that was from Jarl Tyen. That was like Senna and Mansell at Hungary all of those years ago, passing the back marker. Now we're going down the straight onto the last lap of the race. Martin trying to come back at him. We'll take a look to the inside. We've seen him make that move before going over the grass. This time he forces Tyen wide and they'll come back. He'll cut back. He's on the outside. He'll try the cutback maneuver again on the exit of turn 2. Oh, and gets cut off. But what a final lap we have had. And Jake Dennehan, after all this time, has proven that he still has it. Out to the final corner, dominant Dennehan proves why he belongs at the top of Super League, at the top of the GPVWC ladder, and wins the German Grand Prix like he never left. Oh. Jake is the victor. Loic Meunier, second place for the second race running. Then it's Jarl Tyen third, Carlos Martin fourth, Tom Stevens fifth. Then Stefan Roll and Matej Munich. A good day for Holland Racing Team, and that's important because of how close it still is for the team's championship. Oscar Soltero and Jeffrey Fournier get Epic Racing Team a double top 10. Then it's Philip Pushke in top 10. He returns to the top as well, and it's a day for returning champions as Philip Pushke cements 10th position late on in the race. Shimon Frelick P11, then Sven Schubert, Mark